All right, so in this video, we're going to look at doing variable data using InDesign and the data merge function. Um, our end goal will be this little piece, some kind of goofy sales receipt that would have the name, album they bought for this record store, the price they paid, where it's going to ship to, and then a photo of the actual record. Again, variable data is the idea that we can make specific content um, to a direct audience or direct person with that specific message, that we can get something that we need to say right in front of that person, cut through all of the clutter. So this is what we're going to be making. And really, whenever we're doing variable data, I really recommend to people to kind of do it as a two-phase process. Just go in, design the page, the piece like you normally would, how you want it to look, where things are going to go. People can get confused by trying to do the variable data at the same time. So step one is, what do you want it to look like? Where are things going to go? Don't worry about any of the variable part. Think about what will be variable, the names, the photos, whatever it might be, but don't worry about getting that functionality to it yet. Go ahead and just get your piece set up the way you want it to. The second piece will actually be going through and making the variable piece work. So to get this started, and all these files will be on the shared folder, so you can get this variable data too. You can get this and play along at home, so to try to make a little bit more sense of this for yourselves. So first things first, here's my InDesign document. I've called it template. Wants to relink things, why not? So I just went through, made my page as I normally would, my logo, set my type, just put in these X's for placeholders where I want content to go that will be variable. Left an image box here for where I want my content to go down the road. But first things first, just get your page set up as you normally would. Don't worry about any of the variable stuff yet. That's going to be phase two, right? Separate those things and make your life potentially a little bit easier. So, I went through, I have my design. I'm happy with that. We close that out. We need to look at the data part of this. So I have my Excel document, right, where this might have come from my sales department, my marketing team. I rent some kind of list, whatever it might be. I have an I have an Excel document that I'm working from. And also keep in mind, as we've talked about before, the more you can do in your Excel document, the less you'll have to do potentially in your InDesign document. We want to be able to just make a nice, clean Excel document, push that right across, get to an InDesign and not have to touch it. We don't want to have to make any corrections or do any kind of manual work to this. So this document's already pretty set up, already nice and clean for us. As we look across the top, we have our attributes names. That's a really important part of this. InDesign is going to take your first row here, number one, and go through and assume that all of those are your attributes. If I were to go through and just delete this quick, it's going to go through and think that Steve and Holt, that's a little Arrested Development reference for some of you folks, it's going to think that these are the actual attribute names, and it's going to use these as our placeholders. That means Steve will never get his mail or whatever it might be. So make sure you have your attributes set up correctly, and proper format for them is all lowercase without any spaces. But everything else looks pretty good in here. Nothing that we really need to do here. This is all just going to be live data that comes right across. It's just going to say Madison, Wisconsin. It's just going to pick it up from our Excel document and drop it into our InDesign. Pretty straightforward. And we'll see how that flushes out in a minute. One piece that's a little bit different is over here, the actual photos. And you can see even the attribute looks different, besides the fact it's not bold. That doesn't matter. But it has the ampersand in it, excuse me. So without that ampersand, if it just says photos here, and again, all of these names up here don't matter. I could put banana up there if I wanted to. There is no set preset names for any of those. So just by putting photo, that means nothing. If I do my InDesign data merge now, it's literally going to just place the words Bon Jovi.jpg, Boston.jpg it's not going to show me the actual file name. And then some people start to get weirded out, so they actually will come up to insert and find the photo and like place the actual JPEG in there. That's even further off the trail. We don't do that. Um, what we need to do is up here next to photos, we need to have the at symbol. So we want to say at photos, right? And then InDesign's going to see that, and they're going to say, hey, I don't want to say bonjovi.jpg. I want to pick up a file called bonjovi.jpg and show that photograph. So once I put that at symbol in there and hit enter, Excel's going to geek out on me a little bit. It's going to say, hey, you're trying to do an at function and you haven't done it right. And I'm going to have to tell Excel to chill a little bit that I'm not trying to do an at function. And I can do that just by putting that apostrophe. So when I have that apostrophe there, and then the at symbol, and then photos or images, pictures, whatever I call it, now I'm in good shape, right? So Excel's letting me place that in there. I have my at symbol. InDesign is now going to know, hey, don't just say bonjovi.jpg, get that actual file. So this Excel document in this order is in great shape. We're good to go. So I'm going to save my Excel document for good measure, but my Excel document is not going to get along with my InDesign document. They're not going to talk nicely to each other. So I'm going to do save as, file format. I'm going to look for a CSV document, but I actually don't want this one. I'm going to come down a little bit further, and there's probably 4 or 5 in here, just the comma separated values. That's who I'm looking for. So we want our CSV. Go ahead, hit save. Some features will be lost. That's cool. Don't worry about that. And then close it out. So now you can see I have my data Excel document and then my data CSV document. I'm going to kill this one down there. Sorry, that was from before. So right now, well, let's go ahead and take a look at this. We're going to go and look at our InDesign document. We're going to pop open our template, update links, why not? And we want to bring up our data merge panel so we can get it to talk to that CSV document. So we're going to come in and get our data merge panel. So we're going to go to Window, we're going to go to Utility, Data Merge, and we open that up. There's not going to be anything present except a set of instructions telling us what to do. So we need to tell it to look at our CSV document. So I'm going to hit our drop down here, select data source. Here's the CSV document we've just been creating. And the first thing that hopefully we notice is here's all of our attributes, right? The first row from our Excel document. Right now it's just kind of plug and play. I can go ahead and select my placeholders and put in first name, the purchase of the album, for the price. I think I kind of forgot to put a $sign there. Name, first name, first name, space, last name, street, city, we'll leave the comma, state, zip. And once I hit preview, that all works. That's coming around, right? That all moves around, lovely. And you can see our photo one looks a little bit different. That looks great. This is all showing type. This is showing a photo. So if I select my actual text box and put that in here, and now it's going to start giving me this kind of warning, right? So the data source reference, one or more images are missing, right? Basically, it's saying it can't find the link. Okay, so I'm just going to hit OK here for a second. Toggle back on and off. It's not going to allow me to do that, but if I turn it off, it says photo. So it's trying to put the photo in there, right? If I'm looking at Bon Jovi, it's trying to put bonjovi.jpg in there, but it just can't find it. So let's go ahead and fix that. We're going to go ahead and I'm just going to remove this data source just to try and clean this up a little bit for us. We're going to get out of this. What InDesign is actually doing is saying, okay, well, here's the files where the CSV document lives. It looks at the same level as that CSV document and looks around all of those files, and it's looking for bonjovi.jpg. It's looking for those file names. And just like you and I can't see it, InDesign can't see it either. So what we need to do is have that CSV document in the same folder as all of our images. Okay, so just by moving that in there, bouncing back over to InDesign, we're going to select our data source again, go into images, grab that, hit OK. It has saved all of these attributes where we've placed them, but now when we hit preview, it's actually showing me the file that should bounce in there as well. Right? So whenever we're doing a data merge here, it's important to realize that we just need, in the Excel document, the CSV document, we need the actual file name, and then we need that CSV document to be in the same folder as all of the files that we're putting in there. For this exercise, we've just used JPEGs. Any file that you can place in InDesign, you could use. So we could have PDFs, we could have Photoshop documents, Illustrator documents, all of that stuff would work perfectly. Just chose to use all JPEGs for this one, right? So there we go, we're in good shape. We do have some flexibility as far as content placement options, fit proportionally, content aware, fill, some things that we can play with in there, fit to frame, all that good stuff, center in frame. I'm just going to say proportional here. I'm going to say toggled off and on, right? So we have a little bit of flexibility, right? We can go through and we can take this one section, right, where it says album. I can make that a different color if I want to, but it's going to do that for all of them now. I can't make Stevie Wonder, that's spelled wrong, one color, and then I can't make Sticks another color. It's all going to be the same color. So there are some limitations with this, but this gives us the general idea of it. That, again, starting with a Excel document, we make a CSV document, make sure that that's all in good shape. Whatever we need to do to get our data so it's in good shape, so we have less work to do in InDesign. If we're doing the photos, to make sure that we have the @ symbol first, and to get that in there, we need the apostrophe. We link that up using our data merge, and it's really just a matter of putting those placeholders in there, and we're in good shape. Another way, just throwing this out there for fun and games, let's say we had folders or files that were hundreds of files that we needed to link together, and they were all in different folders across our server, and we couldn't do this in folder method. Another way we could do this, if I just drop this photo here and go to my links palette, that's our Rolling Stones, I believe. Yeah. If we copy this, copy info, copy full path, minimize this. I'm just going to go back to my Excel document quick. Rolling Stones, and then paste, right? So it starts users, Brady, desktop, variable data. That gives us the full path method. That's just another way to do this piece of it. That way I could have files all over different folders and bring them together. Just throwing that out there. I would say for this and for assignments and in class, I would just go ahead, do the in folder method. It's going to make your life a lot easier. But I also want you to be aware that other possibilities exist. So now that we have this document, that's cool, but it really we haven't finished it. We haven't made anything yet. So we really have two options that we can fight with a little bit. I don't know why I said that. It's getting late. Under our data merge, if we look at this, we can export this file to a PDF. Now you can see that there's some options as far as single records or multiple records, right? Like a single record. If I'm doing, I don't know, like name tags, and I wanted 10 name tags that said my name and 10 name tags that said Laura's name, I could set that up and say single record. That gives me issues sometimes. That sometimes I just need to save the InDesign document, copy it, put it into a new InDesign document, and then try it again, and it'll work. That function could be a little goofy for me sometimes. Normally, though, I'm doing, where are we at here? the well, this one would just be a single record. Or multiple record if I wanted to do like my name here, Laura's name here, right? That can be a little bit funky. Sorry, I got tripped up there. Single records. Okay, disregard all that. But really, we have some options there. I'm just going to hit OK. This all looks good and familiar to us, and we export that. I'm just going to go right to my desktop here. Pardon me. So it's going to take a little while because it's making those 10 pages. No overset type was generated when merging records. That's really important. If one name was like super long on that address label that you might be making and it pushes that last line of type that is no longer visible, it's going to warn you about that. That's really important. So get out of that, get out of that. Now here's the file that we just made, right? There's our green Bon Jovi, and then we have 10 records. So that's one final destination we can do with it. Another one, and I'll do this one for when I'm doing like the diplomas at the end of the year here, where I might need to go in and tweak one or two of them. There's not a ton of them, so I don't mind doing that by hand. You can also create a merged document. And once you create a merged document, this all looks familiar again, right? We heard, okay, this time though, it's actually going to give us an InDesign document. So up here it says template 1. That's what we just built. Pop over here. Now I have a 10-page InDesign document, right? Where if some of these I needed to, I don't know, make the image larger, right? Now I can just go ahead and edit these a little bit. When I'm doing awards banquet stuff, there's probably 10 of them that I have to like change the type, but out of the 200 or so, it's easiest just to do it this way instead of fighting with everything just for those 10. So that's another option that you can make your PDF from there. But that's where we end up going with the stuff. We either just make a PDF or make an InDesign document and then turn that into a PDF. So that's the long and short of it. Doing InDesign variable data with a data merge. That same process including images as well.